The Hyperspace, podcasting in the 25th century presents
Cassian Andor. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old.
Welcome in, Rebellion recruits, to the Cassian Chronicles. Brought to you by the Hyperspace, podcasting in the 25th century, the interweb's first and still only podcast. This is our discussion and review show of the Disney Plus series Star Wars Andor. And, as always, my name is Jared.
My name's Matt.
Brian.
Lindsey.
The crew is
Yeah.
back.
That's right.
I love this crew.
You know what? I was editing our show last week, and I couldn't tell. Me and Matt, the first 20 minutes of the show was just, okay,
The
yeah.
dream. Save the dream.
Not
And,
can't do it again.
it was
Well,
that
it's
was
a good thing.
madness.
It's a good thing Saw didn't appear in these
Oh,
episodes.
I know. Yeah, I know.
That's all
No
we'd be
Saw.
doing is talking Saw.
No Saw this week, but there was a lot of other stuff.
The slowest 3 episodes yet.
Oh,
It was
So
just
slow.
all talking.
Guys, this is our Andor program, which means if you have not seen or you're not caught up, we intend to spoil everything for you. So, Jared, are you ready?
he doesn't look ready.
Do we really need a real prop?
Yeah. So this week, in honor of our rebel hero, Cassian Andor, I have this thing that was gifted to me by our friend Brian the Collector. It is the spoiler porcelain. Han Solo.
Look at that. It's like permanently carbonated.
Yeah. It's from 1983.
Okay.
And he's
It
here
looks like
to...
it looks like a Precious Moments on Solo.
It does. It does. They do
Yeah.
look like that. And he's also super glued together because he
Oh yeah.
broke.
Nice.
Yeah, I like
Ouch.
giving Jared my broken toys.
No, this wasn't broken when Brian gave
So
it to me. in
how's
fairness.
Han gonna hit the spoiler alert? here?
Okay, so when I count to 3, Han Solo is going to give us the spoiler alert. I don't know what that's going to be like, and I probably won't till I edit it. But hey, here we go. Han, are you ready? Okay. Go ahead and spoiler alert in 3, 2, 1.
It's not fair. It's not my fault.
Yes, Han, it is your fault. Okay, I'm just going to hit the.
Do it.
Okay, here we go. I'll just use the remote control. Okay, the spoiler alert worked there. Okay,
Spoilers
great job.
beware.
All
We're gonna spoil
spoiling.
it all.
Man,
Boy, a lot to unpack for these 3 episodes.
Mhm.
God almighty. Where do you
I will-
start?
I'll tell you where we start. We're going to start with this great shot of this cargo ship and 2 X-Wing fighters flying over a beautiful lake going towards the pyramids on Yavin 4.
Mhm.
I love that shot. Just a
Mhm.
gorgeous shot. You know, apparently Cassian and Bix have taken up residence in the Ewok village, or in a really cool little tree house.
I love it. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think it was very cool that we got to see like the living of people on Yavin. Like they're not all in the pyramids. They're out
Yeah,
hanging out in like the spa and stuff.
I kind of assumed they would be in the big pyramids. You know,
I mean, there are things running through the woods, tearing people's legs off.
Yeah.
I would be in the pyramids. I mean, the first thing I
I
thought about
guess.
was like, this is a pretty wide open, airy abode they have here.
yeah,
I'd be after what I saw earlier, I'd be very concerned. And
And
they
Cassian
do-
saw it. He
And man,
knows.
they're pretty far outside of town too. Like they do their
It
little, they
seems.
hike in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
think I
they-
got
maybe they
mosquito
hunted 'em.
bites. I got mosquito bites just watching this scene.
Oh man.
Maybe they hunted them, in the last year. They just hunted them all to death.
Maybe there's a
Well-
perimeter or something they set up.
There
Yeah.
has to be. I mean, this is a
Something's
place
going on.
This is a place where you have faster than light travel. Surely they've got pest control under.
Yeah.
Or
Maybe they have
fences.
the big Jurassic Park fence or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Now in Rogue One, we got to see Yavin, which is like a huge treat. It was amazing that we got to see as much as we did from Yavin. But like, this is some great stuff. This is like, once again, Andor is filling in all these great gaps of white space in like the sweet spot of Star Wars. I mean, like, and it's doing it well. Where I'm like, I love everything. Everything they show me is great. Like nothing has been like off the mark in my opinion. It's all awesome stuff.
Well, it seems that
That's all talking to me there.
Well, I'm going to speak about Saw in a moment because Cassian and Bix have created this kind of almost a domestic existence. It seems like. I mean, they're obviously, they're chilling, they're hanging out in their treehouse, enjoying life, and then Willman shows up. He's not
He's not over there. He's here, right there.
He's not. He
That sounds more like Watto.
It did, didn't it? It was Watto.
Oops.
It apparently he didn't go on too many gasoline vision quests.
The best.
Because he seems fairly normal when he shows up.
We found out for the most part that they've kind of not had a lot of contact with Luthen either. Like for the most part, until Willman shows up. That
it's interesting that Willman is delivering messages for Luthen,
right?
But also sort of, I'm assuming, still sort of with Saw. But Saw and Luthen aren't. I don't know. I'm like,
I know
what's going on out there?
There's a lot going on.
There are many disparate.
But but there's a lot of people that we find out in this 3-episode arc that have like Luthen has kind of gotten on the outskirts, and it's kind of like all these elements are like breaking apart and then reforming in like new units in the rebellion, and the rebellion is becoming more of a solidified thing over here, and it's fracturing over there. It's a strange time. It's like a very
becoming an alliance.
An alliance.
A rebel alliance.
That's that could catch on. I see. But before we get too far into that, there was an interesting scene where Bix takes Cassian, without his knowledge, to a Force healer, which is our first real experience with the Force in this show,
right?
And it's kind of interesting in that the writer of this show, his name's Dan Gilroy. He's Tony Gilroy's brother, and he has been wanting. He apparently is more of like an active Star Wars fan than Tony Gilroy is, and Tony Gilroy really wanted to stay away from that in the first season. But Dan Gilroy is like, no, man, we got to have some Force in here. There's got to be some Force. And so his brother, talked him into putting it in the show.
I like the way they did it. It didn't feel too over the top. No lightsabers.
Yeah.
There's Force sensitive people out there in the galaxy that aren't all doing crazy Jedi stuff.
And Lindsay's doing her best impression of a Burger King drive-through attendant who is talking into a crappy speaker.
What?
It just was
it's like an auto-tuned Burger King speaker.
Oh no, is it still like that?
No,
actually,
right
it's
now.
a little better now.
Oh,
yeah, it sounds okay.
But I agree with Lindsay that it was a very
Wow.
subtle, good way of having the Force in there without being over the top with Jedis, and you don't need the standard Star Wars rigmarole to get it in there.
Yeah.
And I liked her. I thought she was subtle and interesting.
Well,
like she brought,
as Cassian said, she was a cook in the temple.
Oh, by the way, for you listening, he's seeing the Force healer because he has a blaster burn on his back shoulder that isn't healing, and it's like really bothering him. So Bix kind of tricks him in seeing this Force healer, whom he doesn't want to see. And who was I can't remember her name. Who was his adopted mother?
Marva.
Marva hated Force healers. She was like against them, which he says Marva never liked Force healers. That was not.
And then Bix was like, "Well, she saw one 10 years ago."
And then
she
said some really cool stuff when she came up to him.
Yeah, and I got the impression too that she wasn't over the top with the Force, and that it seems like maybe sometimes she wasn't successful with healing.
That's true. Yeah.
So
which is not a bad thing. It just it kind of makes her a little more real.
I agree. And she came off as I thought she for a little bit part was a great little character. But we found out that what did she say about Cassian?
Well,
It's a messenger.
He's a messenger.
Things, yeah.
And later on, Luthen kind of lays out a little bit of the luck of Cassian in his life too. So it's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, he shows up when he goes. You've shown up whenever I've needed you, and the implication is that that it's not by accident that he's entwined in these galactic events now.
Yeah,
that is putting him where he needs to be. But it's also I got the feeling that Bix, she was saying that she'd had dreams about this, like, and Bix seems a little more open to it than Cassian does, and Jedi we've seen in the past have dreams about certain things that maybe Bix herself could be feeling the pull a little bit.
I applaud the writers because I'm sure it must have been incredibly difficult at times because I'm sure there was a lot of studio executives that were probably saying, take the easy way, get a Jedi in there, get something going, get a lightsaber, but this show has resisted that completely. Yeah. And it's told a story from a different perspective of those without the Force around. And it's been really fascinating. And I just, it's a credit to the show for keeping away from that standard Star Wars trope.
True. And I won't belabor this much longer, but when we first meet Han in Star Wars, he's like, I've never seen anything to believe. But yet they live in this existence where it's that some of this can be objectively proved. When they fought a war with Jedi generals who obviously have enhanced abilities, but it gets you thinking that, of course, the Empire in the intervening years is going to tamp down all this stuff. And, Cassian thinks it's a bunch of parlor tricks. And you get the impression that's kind of what Han thought about it, too.
And, on Ferrix, there probably wasn't. Jedi never went there. Yeah. How would why would they? There's nothing going on.
You could go your whole life without seeing one.
Yeah.
And not to mention, we saw what the Empire did for Ghorman. And we saw how they turned the public opinion just through its media and its propaganda. I mean, campaigns from Palpatine when he first started most likely just put that out there that the Force was not real, non-existent. Charlatans are practicing.
He immediately blames the Jedi for trying to assassinate him.
Yeah. So the whole public opinion of the Force has probably been tainted anyway, just through the Empire and what they've been doing. So, but so Bix takes him to the Force healer and they have a nice little moment.
And apparently it works. Because you see Cassian the next morning, he's moving it normally. And he's like, and they don't really dwell on it. It's just like sort of, he's got his range of motion back. And you're like, oh, wow, it feels better.
I want to say something about Biggs. She appears to have put the past behind her. With all the stuff, killing Gorst in, the last episode before this arc. She I think that just set her free, set her mind completely free.
Yeah, she seemed much different in this episode than the last set.
Yeah. She was not haunted or disturbed in any way.
We can talk more about this later too, but I would have liked to have seen a little more of what she's doing with the rebellion on that planet, if anything. Like, is she, helping with, I don't know what she'd be doing, but just literally something. She kind of just hangs out at the treehouse.
Yeah.
Well, we find out that they're not permanent members of this new alliance on Yavin. Yeah. They almost kind of float in and out, and Cassian was almost, told off by General, what's his name?
Draven.
He's basically like, look, you're gonna stay here and be a part of this, or you're
he said you've enjoyed the protection of Yavin, but you can't just come and go. You have to
commit.
Exactly.
Yes. And it's interesting how Cassian at this stage is like, that's fine with me. I'll walk tomorrow.
His His characterization is very interesting in this. I keep thinking he's already committed, he's doing this, but it could just kind of keep seeming like the rebellion is happening to him, and he's not really. I'm trying to like reconcile it with the characterization in Rogue One, and I'm hoping between now and then we'll see it change, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm like, I just felt like I don't not like it. It's just not what I expected him to be like.
Well, I tell you, they'll have to fill in some holes with the episodes that are airing tomorrow because they are the last episodes, and apparently they butt right up against Rogue One. So Cassian is probably already going to be that man in the episodes tomorrow. But will we get some explanation of his journey from the end of these 3 episodes to the new ones that we haven't seen yet? And I'm with Lindsey. I hope we do get some explanation. Like, why is he now like this, true believer? Whereas in these episodes, he's like, I'm going to do what I want.
Or is he? Or are we going to watch Rogue One after that and like see it, and he doesn't seem like a true believer now when we watch it?
I mean,
like, is it going to feel like, oh, maybe that's just what he seemed like because we didn't know anything else about him then? That's what I'm like.
I can't wait to watch Rogue One after this. This is gonna be a fun watch.
Yeah.
We also see stuff happening on Ghorman now, which is we see like green Imperial recruits being shipped
cannon fodder
being shipped in with like, and what's cool? Did you see the sergeant? He's got the stormtrooper goggles. They look like the eyes of the storm. It's very cool stuff to me.
Little details that are awesome.
But like, it's great. You see like interaction between like, there's a new Imperial captain, I think he is, or commander on planet who's
military strategist.
Yeah, and I don't does Dedra report to him, or does he report to her?
Well, their relationship is
it's almost
it's
parallel
sort of I think it's lateral, but there are parts where she tells him what to do and then he tells her what to do.
There's some very cool interactions where you see the new recruits being like dressed down by the sergeant, and like that interaction of like how they're bringing new soldiers with the cannon fodder in. But also we saw a cool scene with Cyril, which, by the way, Cyril, huge, but talking with the daughter, was it Elma, the daughter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question,
I think her name is something else, but I forget.
Yeah, there's so many names.
I know, but but the daughter of the leader of the resistance.
Yeah.
I got the impression that they had kind of maybe had some kind of maybe brief romance,
a relationship
in the year that we have missed here.
Sure, looked that way.
I got that vibe too.
I picked that up, and it's possible, but I think you could go either way with it. Really.
Yeah, and it seems like they all know he's full of shit now.
I don't think he's full. I don't think he is. That's the thing.
They know what he was really doing.
Yeah, I think he's been manipulating them, but man,
the big manipulation is yet to be. I mean, that's probably the thing that's stuck with me from this arc is like Cyril and the way that his betrayal and what happens to him, and it's kind of interesting because I look back at his character and where he's been in season 1, and I think Cyril, he was like a nerdy fan of Law and Order. and he liked process. He followed the rules as he understood them. I don't think he was evil.
Yeah,
I think what's happening to him, I think, and because of that's the way he is, he was a very useful tool to the people pulling his strings.
I mean, that's the true tragedy of this character is that, from his perspective, everything he was doing because he thought it was the right thing to do, and that it was
He wanted to be the hero. He
He did.
yes.
But
Yes.
he like, for example, on Ghorman, in his mind, to almost the very end, he was trying to root out off-world agitators. He never thought that it was the Empire creating a problem. He just thought that it was, he was doing good. He was going to help this place, and he was going to help the Empire root out problems, and everything would be fine. And
yes, and I do think he believed that's what he was doing. But I think his actions and his reactions to what happens, I think bears that out.
Yeah,
because he is like
what Dedra says to him when she's like, "You sure didn't mind the promotions, though."
Yeah,
I think the part that's like the insidious, like that he becomes through his inability to see what's really going on. Like he's not actively not trying to be evil, but this like passive order taking becomes evil because he's really just trying to climb the ranks too, which is what blinds him to the things that you're saying. He probably, once he realizes them, he is shocked.
Obviously a metaphor for those back in the late 30s and 40s in Germany that contributed to the machine of, Nazi Germany.
And well,
that felt that they were, I was doing the right thing from the start.
He succeeded in they succeeded in drawing in some outside, forces there.
Well,
to a degree, but not probably like what he was thinking.
But yeah, I guess we could just, sorry, we have to back up a little bit because Willman comes to Yavin because he has some information, and the information is that Deirdre is pretty much just walking out around in the open on Ghorman now, and he says she's just waiting to be killed, and that snaps Cassian right into it because, and then, when Bix sees her picture, of course, that brings up, her memories of what happened to her on Ferrix.
Right.
And, I think at that point, Cassian, of course, is like, yeah, let's go get her. And that's why, Draven's all pissed off because Cassian's just hopping in his V-Wing and taking off, and hey, you can't just come and go. What are you doing? This isn't a place for privateers.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, the minute somebody tells me when I can come and go is the minute I'm done. And
that day will come. That day's coming soon.
And he's already a captain, though, right?
Did they? I don't know if they referred. Did they refer
to
him as a captain?
At the end of the last episode, they call him captain.
Okay.
Maybe it's because he's captain of his own ship.
Yeah, maybe.
That's maybe because that's like Han Solo's a captain.
Yeah.
But they, and then of course, this is almost entirely separate. He's going to Ghorman for a totally different reason. He's going there to kill Dedra. He doesn't know that this thing is about to just blow wide open. And he goes back to the same hotel.
I know. I love that bellhop guy.
The Timothy Chalamet bellhop guy.
I did not see that.
I thought he looked like Timothy Chalamet.
If Timothy Chalamet and the guy from The Office
Jim?
had a kid.
What? I don't.
That
Which guy from The Office?
Jim?
The intern, the young.
Oh.
Oh, you're talking about the
guy who actually wrote The Office.
What?
Okay, yeah.
He was in Inglourious Bastards.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. That's so bizarre, man.
Oh
I don't
my
even.
God.
Okay.
Cool.
So
anyway, I love that guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
I love the interaction they were having, the quiet, like the coded exchange.
Sure, and Cassian recognized him, and he recognized. He's like, the way. Here's this room. Hey, you probably remember this room. But he gets up in the room, and there's two stormtroopers just yakking like right
above him.
I thought that was a funny scene.
Yeah, but it was cool because that episode, they're bringing in barricades into the center plaza. Like it's a slow, methodical thing that they keep building up, and it's like they're pulling barricades down from an opening and then re-barricading. It's like, what is happening here? It's like, and I have to tell you, Has anybody watched the show Dark before?
Yes, I talked about Dark on this here.
Well, yeah, I can't remember.
No, I haven't
Oh
seen
my
Dark.
God, you guys don't remember when I was freaking out about Dark?
Dark. One of the key elements in Dark is the music.
Okay.
And it's like the music will just crap on your sunshine in 2 seconds in that show. But this reminded me in this episode.
When I'm in my feels, I'm playing the Dark soundtrack.
Right? No, but it's like this music, if you go back in this episode, it's just there's doom and gloom coming. And it's like they're dropping those doom notes every like 2 seconds of a scene, and like those nice tracking shots. Listen to the music. It's like there's a lot of foreboding happening here, and it's like it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
But word gets around the local Ghorman city that they're opening the plaza. I guess the plaza's been closed for a while.
Yeah.
And the memorial where and they all go.
Start going.
They all go.
And
they ring the bell and they go.
In the meantime, Cassian is getting glimpses of Dedra in her office. She walks out. She leaves. He's got his little scope. He's looking at her. And it's at this time things start ramping up. And this is when Cyril starts hearing alarm bells go off in his head. And, he immediately demands to talk to Dedra. And, they get him in. Well, they
holding room.
With the holding room with the droids.
Oh, that scene was
that's not scary.
Crazy.
And then there's probably 6 or 7 like humans in there, and then the rest are those droids. And I like to think the one that just keeps looking at him becomes K2.
It is.
So on the internets, they have taken a snapshot of like the scratch damage on his upper right shoulder.
So it's the same one.
Compared it to the one that gets creamed, and it's the same one.
Okay,
look,
that's cool.
But I liked how he was just staring at him.
Yeah, he just like creepy. All the other ones are looking like down
Very
at the floor, and this one just keeps looking at him. But anyway, he gets out of that room, and he wants to talk to Dedra. And he's like, okay, let me talk to her. And she's like, okay, shut the door, leave us alone. And man, holy crap. He's like, if you tell me that this is a rumor, he's like, there's a armada of ships. They're landing mining craft all over the planet. And he's like, if you tell me this is a rumor, I will throw you out the window.
He has his hands around her neck.
But his world is shattering right in front of your face.
Full domestics her.
Like he is having the worst epiphany of his life. Everything that he's ever thought, everything he's believed, it's all coming apart. It's amazing. It's like his performance is.
It is really good.
So good.
His performance is crazy.
So good.
That guy needs to win an Emmy for that show.
I agree.
Dedra is terrified.
Her performance is also really good.
Oh my God. She has a moment after this, which is like,
and it's funny to watch them in interviews because they're obviously buddies and they're like laughing and cutting up. It's very strange, but yeah, this whole sequence is crazy.
He confronts Dedra and he basically says goodbye. He's gone. He's done with her. He's gone. He's never coming back. And he goes and he joins the crowd. He's almost, I don't know if he's gone native or he's just.
I think he's just like shell shocked. He doesn't even
has
know
to get
what
out
to
of there.
do. Yeah.
And it's just like crazy. By the way, there's a crazy scene if you watch it again when he's first in the crowd and a woman elbows the hell out of his
face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He takes a nasty hit in real life.
I don't think that was planned.
I didn't see that.
Watch it again.
When I saw but he doesn't react. I mean, it's obviously some extra just elbowed him in the head.
I give the extra credit for not reacting because man, she just smashed. Like,
oh, sorry.
And
but he on camera star.
And he doesn't even react. Like his head goes this way, and he just keeps walking. Like he doesn't even react.
Like it didn't phase him. He was just in his own world.
But I love the false flag that they put up.
Oh yeah,
to get the whole thing started. All the green recruits that we saw in the previous episode are marched out,
and he's like, "These are kids. They don't know anything." And he's like, "They're wearing Imperial uniforms, aren't they?"
and they're sent out to quell the singing, because all they're doing is really singing. There's nothing violent happening right now.
Correct.
They're just protesting and they're singing.
Yeah, that sergeant, man, that guy, he has a heart, because he didn't want to throw those kids out to the wolves.
Yeah, and I think he was starting to see like, hey, this is going nowhere good for us.
Again, there you go.
Nowhere.
And crucially, yeah, sorry, Matt. Sorry.
No,
You see this guy and Dedra like have their moments of going, this isn't, I don't think this is good or right, but they do it anyway.
Which you never would have seen any of that from traditional Star Wars movies. This is where the deep dive and this time that they're allowed in the series, where you can see how people would react in a situation like this.
This is, we get Dedra saying, proceed.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Grand Moff Tarkin line, you may fire when ready.
Yeah.
That is like just that when it's, that's
think
the
about
trigger.
that moment. Think about her choice to there's a sniper, an Imperial sniper, that shoots one of the cadets, and it makes it look like the crowd has
shot him.
That moment allowed the Alliance and the rebellion to go forward in the end.
That's what Luthen wanted.
Because it was that one.
That's what everybody wants.
That one word.
Except Cyril.
That one word.
Except Cyril. Yeah.
It's like the guy in the Death Star who didn't shoot
Cassian.
the escape pod.
Yeah.
It's like there are key moments in the rebellion. That's one of them.
And I think the real life analog to that was the Boston Massacre, when somebody fired, and they still don't know who, if it was a colonial or a British soldier that fired that shot, but that's what kind of set off the Revolutionary War.
Man,
and
stuff hit the fan.
But and there's after that happens, people start going crazy. The Ghormans break out their blasters, and then you've got the storm
cocktails.
Yes, and the stormtroopers are already there. Like there's the whole buildup when
they close in.
You've got the stormtroopers that sort of take their place up on the steps, and
this is, I believe, the first moment we see stormtroopers in mass as a unit in this time frame, because before that it's all been Imperial regulars. But now you see a whole unit of stormtroopers, which I think we've seen
who can actually hit people when they fire their weapons.
Thank God. I'm glad they did that.
Well, how could they miss with all those people
it's
trapped
just
in the middle?
Yeah. It's like fish in a barrel.
But in all the chaos,
I got shot in the face.
I know. In all the chaos,
it's brutal. They show it. Show it. It's brutal.
It's great. It's amazing. When you see Dedra comes out to the balcony, and Cassian finally might get a shot. And then
but he doesn't.
He doesn't. Cyril living that 5-year fever dream of capturing Cassian sees him.
Yeah.
Before we go there, we have Dedra, who had also, she wanted to round Cyril up.
Yes,
correct.
She was trying to get him back up there. Yeah, go find him, because whether it was because she still loves him or whatever they have going on, or if it's, I don't want him talking to anybody.
Probably
one
all
of those
the
two
above.
things.
Probably
all of it.
Yeah.
Go get him. But the
wants to get some power
is,
back.
Yeah.
By them not being able to round him up, probably saves her. So.
Yeah. And
sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
No.
And I guess Timothy Chalamet, does he die?
I think he blows up his shop and he dies. Then.
Because he threw the bomb.
Well, there's a key moment. There's a key moment there before he throws the bomb.
All the troopers are lined up right in front of the hotel.
Well, doesn't Cassian, when he sees him, or no, that's when Cassian was leaving the hotel. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He goes, I hope things work out for you.
I hope things work out. And he's like, rebellions are built on hope. Which then Cassian passes on to
Jyn herself.
To Jyn, and Jyn then, of course, drops the line later.
But that was a good little breadcrumb.
Yeah. But he's great. He had some kind of bomb, and he just blows the hell out of the stormtroopers.
And then the troopers all
everywhere.
Yeah, and the whole, listen, just from a standpoint of, production and technical, this whole thing was crazy. I mean, it was massive. I mean,
so many extras, so many everything.
I mean, I saw practical effects, like drone shots of the Ghorman Square. It's gigantic. There's parts of it that you never even see on television. It's just like a real city they built at like 2 blocks, and it's pretty amazing. Now they did not build the Imperial skyscraper for real. That was visual effects. But
what? That's not real.
No, the scale
you're
though.
Ruining the movie.
I know. I'm sorry, but the scale it was fantastic, and amazing. Just the sheer number of extras and everything. It really, they did a great job of presenting this chaos, and of course, this I think the droids come out after Cassian and Cyril have their climactic battle.
Cyril he surprises Cassian, tackles him.
Cassian almost has
a bead on Dedra, and then and they get in a great fight. And Cyril was holding his own pretty well. And,
he actually had the upper hand there for a minute.
But man, he took a grenade to the back.
I thought he was dead there. I did
too.
Sure.
Oh, too, yeah.
I literally went out loud when I was watching it. I go, "Bye, Cyril."
Man, I felt so bad for Cyril in a little half of a split second moment of acting. By the way,
when Cassian says, "Who are you?"
Because Cyril finds Cassian's gun, and Cassian's trying to crawl away, and he has him in his sights. He's about to pull the trigger and kill Cassian. The man he's been obsessed with for over 5 years, the man who has driven him in all his motivation, his anger, his drive. It's always been about finding this guy, and it's all about, to what Jared said earlier, it's about order. And this guy represented the disorder, and this is his white whale. Cassian's his white whale.
And he doesn't even know him.
Doesn't know who he is.
And his crumbling world disintegrates.
Breaks him. Finally, what's left of Cyril is
ashes.
I think he was, before Cassian even says, "Who are you?" He hesitates. He doesn't kill him.
No,
there was a moment where he's like hesitating, because I think he realized, he's like you said, he's been obsessed with him. But he like knew he wanted to get Cassian so he could divert his focus to that instead of the horrible shit he just learned.
Yeah,
I think he takes the moment there to remember what he just, and like connect it to this and be like, hold on a second. But then
it almost looked like he wanted to give a speech. They'll stop and start.
I would have loved to hear what he had to say.
A million things in that one little second. That
and
he's
when he says, "Who are you?" and he lowers the gun, and he is broken. He's just like, and then he gets a blaster to the head.
But I mean, how relatable is that? Everybody on this podcast, and everyone listening at some point in your life has found something that's hyper important to them, that they're obsessing over, and that they realize that they're the only one that cares about it. And it's like, it kills you. After his whole world is collapsed, the epiphany of the Empire is on him. What's happening? This is all he had left, and he found Cassian. And there's some, maybe a little purpose left in his life. And even that was taken away. Terrible. But amazing acting. Amazing acting.
I love that for Cassian too, because he's like some random guy from his perspective.
Yes.
Like, we know that Cyril knows who he is. So we're thinking, oh, this vendetta, this fight is crazy because Cyril hates this guy so much. And Cassian is just like, why is this dude attacking me?
Yeah.
Like so viciously.
Like,
I don't even know who it is.
Terrible.
Yeah.
And so after this thing happens, Cassian gets out of there, and
that's when like
the droids come out.
The captain is like, "Okay, let them out," and then we see the room empties of the droids, and then they come out in the crowd, and then it just all hell breaks loose.
Oh man,
droids, man, are vicious.
Throwing people.
It was a horror movie.
And kicking the that barricade, and it just like a bowling ball, like throwing people, and then just apparently their preferred method is just throwing people to their deaths. Like, I'm gonna throw you 150 feet, and you're going to land and all your bones are going to be like when he killed that guy's daughter. Good grief,
man.
She just hit the ground with, the open dead eyes. Like she was gone.
There's a lot of open dead eyes in this series.
Yes.
That freaked me out as a kid.
What the open eye death scene?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I tell you,
amazing.
One of my favorite kills had to be when you didn't see him be thrown, but the guy hits the wall. He's like 50 foot up on the wall, and it cracks the wall, and he just falls.
It prints that guy's body in the wall.
Yeah, and then I guess what is K2 comes out of that little alley where everybody's running away from him, and those things run too. It's crazy.
They're scary.
Yeah, and they're like just grabbing people, throwing them left and right.
Exactly, and I think his the way K2 is dispatched was pretty unexpected and cool.
Yeah. When I was like, how is he possibly going to survive here? I don't.
Well, he kind of didn't.
Well, he gets that smashed by that transport.
Or I meant Cassian. How's Cassian going to survive?
Oh yeah, him and Willman are just like,
we're dead.
Crap.
He gets the droid gets sliced in half with the transport being pinned against the wall, and but I liked how Cassian's like, wait a minute, load him in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take him.
And
one more favor.
Apparently, Willman he can't keep it in his pants. He's on every planet. On every planet, he's got a girl on every. He has a girlfriend.
Yeah, he gets a player.
I was sure that was the last we were going to see of him too.
Yeah. I agree.
I was like, he's all right. He's gone.
Because I think Cassian thought the same.
He's out like, spreading the seeds of the rebellion.
Oh, what are you doing?
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Matthew. Have some class. Oh, wait, who am I talking to? There's no class. So anyway, and Willman's girlfriend, I can't remember her name.
Right. I can see her. I can't remember.
Drina.
Oh.
She's the one who is she's doing this kind of this heartbreaking broadcast.
Oh, I know. God.
And she's just like, hey, everybody's dead. The Imperial destruction of Ghorman is here. And then Willman gets to her. Cassian has his pal K2 loaded onto this transport, and he gets off planet. But everything is going crazy, and so that was sort of the end of the 8th episode, and I thought episode 9 was, in a different way, sort of equally as intense at certain points.
Wait, real quick, by the way, at the end of that episode 8, we see Cyril's mom watching the broadcast in the Imperial on Coruscant, and I have a theory. And they're like talking about like the Ghorman massacre and the Imperials that were caught in it. I think this isn't the last we see of her in that capacity. I think when we jump ahead a year, she may be one of these people that's on the news talking about Cyril, and Cyril may be one of the remember Ghorman, and his face might be used as a rally cry to remember. Which is an ultimate irony, is that Cyril becomes a symbol for the Empire in death, where this is all he ever wanted, but at the end he realized this is nothing what he expected or ever hoped for. But I think we're going to see more of Cyril being used in different ways as a martyr of the massacre.
Well, yeah, I do. Now I'm not sure if. I guess at this point Cyril's mom wouldn't know that he was killed, but she seems like she's there with her friends, and she's very upset.
It seems like a little bit of. It seemed like a time jump to me.
Okay,
yeah, I think we can.
So maybe she got news that he did die.
Yeah.
Well.
And she's loving it because she's being comforted. She's
she's such
with all the attention's on her.
Yep.
They've done a great job with the series. Of course, they've been killing people off left and right, but also the people that have plot armor. they actually make it pretty, convincing that they're in trouble.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Especially in this episode 9. With Mon Mothma and Cassian.
Yeah,
and that whole thing.
It's I love this episode's the setting is mostly on Coruscant, and man, it looks great. It looks fantastic. And I really like seeing sort of the back chambers of the Senate. They spend a lot of this episode running around this place. And, I think these are actual real locations. It would just be too much to, just build these big corridors or whatever. But, I think all that stuff was great. And, Mon Mothma, and we get a lot more from Bail Organa 2.0 in this episode.
I liked him. I thought he did a good job.
So good. He does a good job.
He does a good job. And
he was convincing.
I agree. And so, Bail and Mon, they want to make this speech. And, there's this session of the Senate. And, Mon Mothma's decided, okay, this is it. This is when I'm going all in.
I'm done.
And, but they're not going to let her talk. And it's interesting. They have to find this loophole where, somebody cedes their time to Bail, and then Bail says, okay, well, I'm going to give up my time to Mon Mothma, because Mon Mothma, I guess, wasn't a senior enough senator to speak, or they didn't want her to speak, or I'm not sure exactly what happened there. But, I thought, I thought that whole scene was very well done. And, and then of course the mic drop was, the Emperor Palpatine at the very end of the speech.
I on the side texted Jared this, and I thought one of my favorite moments in that whole episode was the poor guy who was told to shut down the feed, and he couldn't get in the door. And he's
I love those people who are like, I don't know, we fixed it. And he's like, what do you mean? And they're like, we're supposed to fix it.
He's shaking.
I think he got played a little bit.
Oh yeah,
he's so nervous and upset. That was so good.
Well, they couldn't. Well, yeah, there's that whole sequence of events where, he's trying to get in to, Cassian. He has this. He's from the Mid-Rim News, or his name is Guji or something. I don't know.
What about all the buildup where Mon and Luthen talk at the beginning?
Yes, see, I just skipped right to the end. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, he's telling her that Bail had, that extraction team set up for her after the speech.
Hold on, pause on there. Oh. She finds out that her office is bugged.
Yeah, that too.
And she's trying to work on her speech, and she winds up going outside at night, pacing back and forth, practicing her speech. And then Luthen finds her outside, and she's like, right now, I am more scared of you than anyone else in the universe, because at that point, you don't know who's on whose list to be taken out.
Like what we were saying about, we believed he might just take Bix out. It's like Mon Mothma's feeling the same thing. She's like, well, if you think that it's for me to get captured, you'll just kill me.
Exactly.
Yeah, they have a little discussion about Tay while they're out there too. Kind of like, they didn't really explicitly say it, but you kind of know it.
Yeah, she didn't.
I often think of Tay Coma.
But Luthen puts it in her head that Bail Organa's crew that's going to extract her are.
Yeah, they've been
right.
They're compromised, and he's going to send somebody to extract her out of the Senate as soon as she's done.
And she fires her assistant.
I love that guy. He had some good moments in that.
Erskine.
Yeah.
Every single person who has just like little bits of scenes in this show are killing it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
This guy is great.
He's very good.
And he, she finds out that he's working for Luthen, and then she immediately fires him when she goes back to her quarters.
And you can tell he feels like he has so much respect for her, and he feels so bad. Ugh.
And he says it has been an honor. And then he leaves, but they're soon reunited.
He doesn't
stray far.
I also liked, I don't know when it happened, but before we get too far past it, I love when Bale says that line to her. I don't know if it's right before the speech or the day before. What does he say? Like,
rip the shit out of him.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, it's good.
That's good.
And just a poodoo, though, more in Star Wars parlance.
Poodoo. Hey, rip the poodoo out of him.
Shit is established.
Oh yeah, they say that. I know. But so anyway, there's a bunch of crap that happens, and Cassian is, he's given the phrase, "I have friends everywhere," and he runs around, sort of. He's in the pit where all the journalists are, and then he goes out, and then that one guy's freaking out. He can't get into the he's trying to get into, is it her Senate pod? I mean, I don't, where he calls, he's got like that Lobot looking person.
I think it's the broadcasting room.
Okay.
Yeah. They're trying to just shut off the feed.
And that Imperial, the bald Imperial guy that's in like the big weird information center.
Yeah. In the middle there.
With all the strange those graphics, they have those weird graphics that are going around on the top of the screen. Those are the same graphics they use in the Death Star in the first movie. When it's a small thing, but it's kind of cool. I noticed it. But it's, so this guy's like this bald guy's just like, okay, turn it off. Turn it off. And
turn it off now.
Yes, but she does complete her speech, and they leave the signal on long enough for her to call out Palpatine.
And it is a great speech.
It's so good. And she's like, and the monster who will soon come for us all is Emperor Palpatine.
I actually liked this version better than the one in Rebels.
The Rebels because those two, there's two different speeches. In Rebels, they replay her speech, and it's similar, right, but it's different. And they did ask Tony Gilroy about that, and he was just like, well, we're doing our show, and they did their show, and he goes, it's the same, it's the same thing, but.
She is so good as Mon Mothma.
Oh my God.
Her performance is so elegant and so like believable.
Yeah,
she's great.
It's incredible.
But Cassian, they start to get out of there, and Cassian's just killing folks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, you had that
driver,
ISB officer.
Oh yeah,
that confronted him. He just blast her.
I know, he doesn't even. She's like, okay, and he's just like, bang.
And he's the reason they get out of there.
Yeah, and she kills Clovis, her driver.
Her reaction is,
hey, I got her, bam.
Her reaction is so good because she does all this rebellion, low-key financing, all this stuff, but she's never seen any of it happening.
And Cassian's there because Luthen called him in to get her out.
Yes.
And specifically called, and that's where they not to backtrack, but that's where they had that nice little talk about, like, Luthen's like, every time I've needed something, you have been there. You've been there. By the way, I have to go back. Maybe one of you saw it when he's on Luthen's ship. There's something in carbonite right next to.
Was that on his ship or in their or was it in their in the gallery? I thought it was in the back of the gallery, but maybe it was on the ship.
I think it was the
ship
like
Sebulba.
I don't know what it was, but I want to look back because something was right next to Cassian as he's talking to Luthen behind him, and there's like this big thing of carbonite right here.
Yeah.
And it's like a side shot, so I got to go back and look.
Yeah, I have it in my notes.
the carbonite thing.
Yeah, it looked like Sebulba. I don't know that it was. It was really hard to tell.
That'd be amazing.
But
like
really looked like it.
Everything has purpose. And everything is a deep cut. So it has to be something.
Do we know, was this on Luthen's ship or somewhere else?
I think it was.
I thought it was in the gallery, but it may not be.
But Luthen, but they landed right, and didn't he go on to Luthen's ship when he was there? Maybe not. I have to go back.
No, I don't.
I thought he was talking. I thought he was talking to Clea when that happened, but
Yeah.
in their gallery, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, that was another conversation with Clea being like, "Oh, it's hard. The rebellion's hard.
Yeah.
Why don't you get it together, man?"
That was the last. The last set of episodes, right, where she had that conversation. I can't remember. Oh man.
Maybe
being in the gallery. Sorry,
it was when she had her hair down. I noticed it was striking because she had her hair straight. I think
it's right after it's right after he gets back from Ghorman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Early on.
Oh yeah, because she says that's when she gives him his fake ID. It's like, this will get you in, and she's like, yeah. Then she says, "Oh, really? Why don't you go take a shower and I'll get you some clothes?" And
just another instance of him still not being continually not fully invested.
Well, they take Mon Mothma back to the old safe house, and everybody's there, sort of just drinking coffee or whatever, and and we find that Wilman and what's her name, Drina, they've made it back. Wilman's injured, but he's okay. And then it's explained, and her Erskine is there also, and it's explained that okay, so here's what's going to happen. Gold Squadron is going to, they say basically the rebellion wants to put on a show, so Gold Squadron's going to escort her back to Yavin, which sets up the Rebels episode that follows this. And what happens in that episode, of course, is that there's some hang up with Gold Squadron, and she has to give her speech from the Bridge of the Ghost with Hera there. And they actually reference that speech at General Draven says to Cassian, "Hey, she's about to speak. Do you want to?" He's like, "No, I've already heard her talk." And he goes back to the treehouse, and well, Bix is your path lies along.
Bix was there, and then
she was there.
Then he went to sleep, and then she wasn't.
Well, he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yes. I want to just chill. And she's like, just nodding. And he's like, why aren't you saying anything?
Yeah.
Well, he's like, there's places we could go that are quiet. We can just leave all this behind. We don't have to worry about it. And she's the whole time is like, that's not what you're supposed to do.
I have thoughts about this.
Okay.
I'll wait though. I'll wait. Go ahead.
No, lay it. Give us thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead. I had one comment about it, but go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Brian. Brian goes first.
All right. So at the end of the message that she leaves Cassian, saying that she's out of there, she says that she will find him later. She'll find them after this is all over or whatever. And you think, how sad is that when you realize he gets incinerated on Scarif?
There ain't nothing to find.
God, yeah. There's nothing to find. She will never find him
unless there's some reunion in the episodes this week,
right?
But knowing this show, that's not in the cards.
No, I don't think so.
I would be very surprised if they do that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I want to
unless
Lindsey,
they kill her off screen. I hope that they. Didn't,
I don't think so.
I hope they don't do. I don't think they will, and I kind of like the way they left her. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
I didn't love the way they left her. This was my only critique, as Matt says, for my one critique, because obviously they needed to get rid of her in some way because everyone's gone by the time we get to Rogue One, and they're killing everybody off. We all thought she'd probably die just like everyone else, but then she doesn't. They subvert that. She leaves him. And I think that I don't hate that as an idea of a way for her to be written off. I just feel like she did nothing. They gave her nothing to do but sit in that treehouse for 3 episodes.
She deserved a good death.
And if she, or like a better, I feel like if she was more invested in the rebellion than him, and that was more of a conflict, like she's constantly trying to get him, like that moment where Vel comes and tells her like, hey, Cassian needs to like obey the chain of command. He needs to commit. And she's like nodding, and it's all about him. And I feel like that would have been more interesting if she was like, if he won't, are you in? And they brought Bix in more, and Bix was like, you know what, you're not committing to this enough, and I love you, but I am committed to this, so I'm gonna go.
You know, even though we didn't,
I just didn't love how they handled it between them.
Even though we didn't see that, you could make an inference that that same kind of speech happened, and that's why she's doing this.
I know, but I
but
wanted to see it.
I look, there are characters that are dying left and right in this show, and she could have had an amazing death for the rebellion, and because she's been in it from the start, you know, that's something.
Or that, yeah, like just something more that gave her a little more to do. I don't know.
I had a weird image when I was done watching these, because this is a lot to take in. But you know what popped in my head, which is bizarre, but I was thinking of A New Hope, and I was thinking of Luke, Han, and Chewie up on the podium. They're getting medals, and I was thinking to myself, you know, all of these to get this rebellion going, to get it to where it was, took so many people sacrificing so many things to be a part of so many different operations and intrigue and just lives coming apart just to make the movement go forward, right? There's so many martyrs that are unsung and never mentioned in the annals of history when it comes to the rebellion, right? All these people that made it happen. And I'm thinking to myself, in that room, right, in Yavin, which is not far off from where we are now, you know, in time, you get these three goofballs who just joined up, right? They just joined up 5 days ago, 2 days ago. And yes, he got a lucky shot and he got the Death Star, major accomplishment. But like, think about some of those soldiers in that audience going like, I've been doing this for like 10 years. They get the medal. Like Johnny up there just got torched. He's been with us. Like all these people that made
Johnny just got torched.
But like, I'm like, and it's great that Luke did this stuff, right? Like Porkins could have been the hometown hero, but it's like all these people that made it happen, and it's like the new guys step in. But that's what happens, right? Like, and look at Saw Gerrera. Like Saw had a up to a point before he became a liability to the rebellion, and then it switched. He had to be like, he would have been removed anyway. They're already talking that he was already splintered out in his own world. All these things that made the rebellion foundationally work had to change. And that's when a bureaucracy comes in and order comes in, and it becomes its own government in a sense. The alliance.
They need the goody two shoes faces for the rebellion that haven't done anything, like murdered any
guys
with broken arms that didn't do anything wrong.
But it makes you think about all it took to get there. And
except
now
for Luke murdering all the people on the Death Star.
Yeah, but they're all space Nazis.
Yeah, I guess.
Except for the poor maintenance guy who got stuck there, but
they're all robots. They all
anyways, that was just what came to my head. That like all these people that worked so hard to get the rebellion to where it was, and then it gets turned over to like the gloss.
And that's why I'm like, Cassian.
I actually had that in my notes.
Like
it just makes you realize how much legwork it went into the whole thing.
And that's why Rogue One, I feel like, got made. Even like all these unsung heroes that are just a blip in the crawl at the beginning of that movie that don't. You know.
Oh my god.
Well, we got to talk about the last scene where where K2 enters the picture without B2's brains.
I know.
Yeah, they were nervous to turn that droid back on.
Yeah, they were.
All of them were holding their guns and everything. Tight. And I thought K2, his line was really good.
If I've offended you, I'm sorry. Please point that somewhere else.
Please point that somewhere else. So that was a good way to end it. So we know that
imprinting Cassian's the first person he sees.
Yeah, that's what I thought of too. Yeah. I'm like, he sees Cassian.
So
your best friend.
So then, of course, now we established, K2 was activated about a year before Rogue One. So, what do you think as we wrap up this conversation? What are your predictions for the last 2.5 hours of Andor? Brian, what do you think?
Man, there's going to be some sort of raid on an Imperial complex. I mean, we've kind of seen a little hint of that, but what is it? Or are they trying to raid? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we get to see a little bit of Galen Urso or something.
That's what
like
I
that.
think. Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah.
Be cool.
What do you think, Lindsay?
I think I'd like to see Cassian have his own reasons for finally committing to this, because I feel like Clea sometimes, where Clea's like, you just were at the Ghorman massacre. That wasn't you should be like chomping at the bit to do this. What do you mean you're trying to leave? That's kind of how I feel. So I want to see. I'm hoping we see him commit.
Yeah. What do you think, man?
I think we're going to see Galen. I think that's one of the things they've been holding back as a big surprise, which I don't think is going to be that big of a surprise to see him. But
yeah.
I can't wait to see the interaction. I think Luthen is going to have a great end.
Yeah. I think Luthen. We got to see how that wraps up.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how Luthen goes out, because he can't stay. No, he's done. So that ought to be great.
Will take him out.
Yeah, but exactly.
Who knows? Krennic get his hands dirty a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
and
I
we
can't
know
even,
that,
like, I'm super excited. It's like,
we know that there's
like a movie's coming out. A movie's coming out tomorrow.
That's gonna be good.
Well, we know that there's stuff from Krennic we haven't seen yet.
That's
where
right.
He's looking out at the Death Star on the bridge of a ship or something. That's what was in the trailers.
What do you think is going to happen?
I think K2 is going to knock somebody off a bridge, because we've seen that in the trailers.
I
don't, because okay, so it feels like.
Oh, of course, I'm sorry. Cassian's going to meet his sister Dedra. Finally.
Okay, so there are these other stories that I think we need closure for, and I don't know how that goes. I do know that they've got some legwork to do to make this dovetail with Rogue One. And Lindsay, what were you going to say?
Sorry, I got to.
That's okay.
I think someone might have already said this in another episode, but I was saying I bet Dedra gets assigned to the Death Star.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
She's working on the Death Star, and then she just keeps working on it until it blows up.
And then it's like your fate is sealed.
I think Tarkin takes her out.
That's what? I don't know if we're going to see.
And
Tarkin.
B2 and Bix are still, as far as we know, alive. I wonder if I know that supposedly this bumps right up to Rogue One, so there's maybe not really a chance to see it. But I wonder if they'll show them.
Maybe B2 goes or Bix goes back.
Yeah, like they'll show like not an epilogue, but like they'll just show what they're doing out there.
What was the thing in the beginning of Rogue One where Cassian killed that guy? What were the
Ring of Kafrene? That was the name of the planet.
That guy had a rumor that they were building a planet killer.
Yeah, yes. That's how it's going to end. Right up to that.
Well, yeah, I think it's going to be Cassian either on that mission or leaving for that.
I mean, it's
mission.
all. Well, look, I think here's what you got, right? It has to be a lot of the Death Star.
Yes.
You have to have a lot of oh God, what's the planet? I can't think of the planet now. They're mining the Kyber out of
Jeddah.
I was just thinking about that. Maybe we get like Saw and his team moving to Jeddah.
Something, right? Jeddah has to play because it's such a major part of Rogue One.
And we've got to see what has happened to Ghorman. Is it just a bunch of asteroids now?
I bet you might see it on the Imperial News, but I don't know if they focus on it or not. They might just move past it. Jeddah is a big one because you know what? What they did on Ghorman could have been a ramp up trial on what they did for Jeddah.
Jeddah. Well, here's something I think we're going to get, we talk about how this show doesn't really delve into the Force or name drop Jedi or anything. I think at some point in the episodes this week, Mon Mothma and Bail are going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Ooh.
Because in Rogue One, Mon Mothma goes up to Bail and says, she's like, well, do you think, she goes, do you think your friend, the Jedi, could help? And, they have this little, like, Mon Mothma they've already talked about this person. Like, Bail's already told her about Obi-Wan.
Yeah. I can see that.
And I think maybe they would throw, not fan service, but just a line, like, or they'd have a conversation about it. So, and I think Bail he's on Yavin at this point in the timeline because, he's on.
Yeah. For Rogue One, he's on
he's
Yavin.
a different actor, but he's on.
I bet they'll name drop Leia.
Yes, I think they will. But it's going to be crazy, and
I'm so excited! I can't.
And
wait
Leia's on Yavin before the battle scared.
Well, because her ship's there,
right?
Because we see R2 and 3PO,
right?
So, and the ship it's in orbit with the fleet.
She's there in proximity.
Because it's on.
Oh man, I'm so excited!
It's
so
in
excited.
the belly of that cruiser.
Yeah.
But anyway, gang, we got 3 more episodes, and tomorrow night for some, Wednesday for others.
I think they've already landed the plane for me. Now, as it taxis to the gate, they're just giving you free drinks at this point because it's all they already won me over.
Yeah, it's a mystery kind of what this whole is gonna be, because it can't be so much about the Death Star because they don't know about it yet. So it's got to be. Like the Ghorman thing, I think we at first thought maybe that would be the finale, but it's not. So I'm interested.
No, and it's like, holy cow! There's like still 2.5 hours of this left.
I think it's Jeddah. I think I got some Galen in there. A lot of
you got to have Saw. We got to have Saw.
We need.
I want to know how Saw lost his limbs.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he's missing a leg and stuff.
He's already there. When we see him,
I want to know what he's breathing. Is it the Rhino or is it oxygen?
I was waiting. I was thinking, God, the self-control these guys have right now. I can't believe they're not doing the voice.
I'm wrestling Borgullet.
I lost my arm. Borgullet would know the truth. I want to put Borgullet in my nostrils.
Do you know? I thought of you guys when Saw was on whatever episode he was in, I forget. I was like, is he going to bring out Borgullet on this guy? Is he going to do it?
Brian, here's a question for you, the collector. Is there a Borgullet toy?
No,
they never made a Borgullet. But they made a Saw action figure.
Yes, they made I think a couple of them.
Yeah. There's not much left of me.
There's not much left.
I can't wait. Anyway, I can't wait.
It's all exciting. Not much left of this episode. So
as we record this,
I do.
It drops tomorrow. The last 3 episodes,
and we're going to be back here with you a couple more times on Cassian Chronicles because we're going to, of course, wrap up the series next week, and then after that, it's going to be a Rogue One special edition. With all the knowledge we have from Andor, we're going to watch Rogue One with new eyes.
Can't wait.
And we're going to come back here and talk about it. So, anyway, we are going to wrap things up for now. May the Force be with you, and we'll see you next time.
You know you can't live without this content, so subscribe to the Hyperspace Podcasting in the 25th Century. Follow us on social media. Leave us a review, and join us here next time as we take you into the 25th century.